Now we're here at the premises of Bill Chawkes in Adare in County Limerick for a very important evening. It's a launch of the Drive Against Suicide, which has been run and spearheaded by a young man, Cormac Hayes, and we'll be talking to Cormac and his friends very shortly. But as we know, suicide, or self-harm as we now call it, is growing rapidly across the country. There is no town or village or family that has been left unaffected by this awful problem and tragedy that befalls them. I first want to go to Cormac Hayes to explain this evening how the whole concept of Drive Against Suicide came into being.
It came about the 1st of September. Myself and another committee member, Jonah Lawler, we were writing to each other and we said we'd like to do something to get people out, especially young men, about maybe do a cruise. And he asked me what would we do, and I said, look, we'll do a Drive Against Suicide, but before we do anything, I said we'll put it out on Facebook and see what reaction we got. We got a number of messages. We're looking about 20 or 30 messages saying let's do this, and not just to make it for young men, let's make it for families who've lost loved ones. And he asked me, you know, what will we call it? I said we'll call it the Drive Against Suicide.
And that's actually how it came into being. Now it has been growing because I've been following your Facebook development over the last while. You have had actually the experience of going out with the patrols at night, and I don't think it was a very heart-warming experience for you.
No, I think it really gave an insight of what's really going on in the country at the moment, especially with people who are hiding mental health. You know, it's grand, we can't see it from the outside, but these people are feeling it from the inside. And I think it's important that we got an insight in what we were doing and what we can do to achieve it, that we can achieve mental health awareness.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to talk to Emma, is that right? Emma, thank you for joining us this evening. Now you've had the very unpleasant tragic experience of losing somebody dear to you. Can you talk to us a little bit about your own story?
Well, I was 13 years of age when I first lost someone to suicide. It was my godfather. I didn't understand what suicide was at that time, but I just saw what it did to my family. And sadly, in 2015, I lost my daughter's dad to suicide. It's just undescribable, the pain that comes after it, the shock that you'd be in for so many months. You will grieve for years upon years after it, and it actually, you kind of develop like depression and mental illness yourself. Like I've been suffering with anxiety and panic attacks for the last few weeks, and it's not nice. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. It's because of all the thoughts that were going through my head, the why, how, what could I have done to stop it, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do. And then when people say that someone has committed suicide, I wouldn't say committed suicide, because committing something is a crime. Mental illness is not a crime. It's something that's hidden. We can't see it. So the reason for this is just to drive people to talk out, because just by anybody talking out, you could save a life. By asking someone, are you okay? That'll get into conversation. I know we're not all trained in counselling someone, but just a simple sit down over a cup of tea, it can mean so much to someone and we've no idea. It's just something so small, it can change someone's life, and hopefully some people can still be with us here today.
Emma, is there a problem in this country? You know, the Celtic Tiger that we had, and there was huge spending and all of that. Did people lose that personal connection of being able to talk to their neighbours, or even family members even talk to their own members? Is that the problem now?
It is, because from my experience, what I found was I was afraid to tell people at the start, because I was afraid they'd think I was a drama queen or something. I was afraid to speak out at the start, but now I will speak so openly about mental illness, because it has helped me, and especially being in this committee, it has helped me as a person. I've grown as a person since, and I have felt a lot better than what I've did in the past few months after starting in this committee, because I have all the people around me, and they support me as well, and we support one another, and we've all made a great friendship, and we can all talk to each other, which is brilliant. So we're all after becoming close friends.
Yeah, and that's great, the solidarity, Cormac, as well, that people can join together and pull off each other, as it were.
Yeah, like when I picked the committee, I looked at what age group we would be looking at. and I picked more so men than women, and it wasn't being sexist or anything, but it was just to get more men out talking about mental health. You know, last year 471 lives were lost. Since 2004, I have the figures, and I don't like to use figures.
I know.
I like to use beautiful lives were lost. That's over 15,000 people. If this was road crashes, how much would be spent on it? You know, my whole aim here is not just a drive. It's time to change what mental health should really be about. We should start educating not just young people, but older, and just get them understanding what mental health is all about. It's time to talk about it. You know, you'll see a man and his best friend at the bar, they won't talk about their problems.
No, never.
Never. No. Where a woman is more likely to speak to each other if there was a problem. You know, and I think it's time to change the attitude. We have an Irish attitude going, oh well, you know, you have everything, you know, you shouldn't be short of anything, there should be nothing wrong with you. It doesn't matter whether you have nothing or you have everything. Mental health can affect you. It's a chemical imbalance in the mind. That's what it is, really.
It's actually, I found out as well, it's not actually in the brain, it's in the mind. It's how we feel, our environment, our friendships, our emotions, the whole lot. And you know, I remember talking over on a different radio channel over many years to a psychiatrist, Dr. Michael Corrie, and he really opened and educated me about the understanding of what depression is. Depression is not a disease, he says, it's an emotion and can be treated and dealt with. And you have actually started by communicating, which is actually the first step that he's always recommended, even to his peers as well, in different things. I want to go to another young lady, Teresa. How are you, Teresa?
I'm good.
Now, I know your experience has been very difficult as well.
Yeah, my brother, he was 30. He went off travelling. He was in Australia. And when people go to Australia and people back home see the lives that they have over there, they think it's amazing, because a lot of the photos he'd put up on Facebook, it was like he was painting this amazing life. He took his life the 18th of August last year. And when we got the phone call that morning, it didn't sink in. And I remember, because me and him we were really close, we'd talk all the time. But I remember it didn't sink in. And I had taken the role of, okay, keep myself busy. Didn't believe it. Organised a funeral, get everything, try to get his body home. And I remember when we landed in Dublin to collect his body, about a week and a half later, two other bodies had come home. Yes. In the airport. They were younger than Paul, both Irish, and both had died of suicide as well. You don't hear that on the news at all. And just driving home behind that coffin, like when your loved one comes home, it's supposed to be for a good time.
Take your time.
Not to bury them. Because I remember my sister had texted me a day before, and I was at my best friend's wedding. So I had a great weekend, and I felt so guilty because I said, why? I could have done something, because he had texted me the day before he died, and he made this lame excuse of that he was doing insurance for his work, and that when he kicks the bucket, that I'm his next of kin. So to make sure that he gets buried in Ireland, or gets buried in Australia and not Ireland. So not only had I to deal with that, I had to deal with the decision of what am I going to do? Like, he wants to be buried in Australia and not Ireland. So I had brought my family and friends together, and we discussed it, and we said, no, he's coming home. So brought his body home and buried him. And just like a few weeks on, I just felt so guilty. And I remember then one night I had a dream, and he was in the dream, and we had met out in a place that we used to always go out in, and I could tell that he was crying. And I had said, oh my God, I thought you were dead. And he said, oh no, he was just, we pretended that I just wanted to, I wanted to come home and not know that everyone knew that I was home. And I said, look, I went against your wishes. I brought you home and buried you in Ireland. And he looked at me and he smiled, and he was like, do you know what? I didn't think I wanted to come home. But now that I'm home, I didn't realise how much I missed it. And then when I woke up, I felt like a weight had lifted. But like the isolation that you feel after you bury a loved one, it only sinks in a week or two later.
Yes.
You're sitting at home and you just can't get yourself out of it. Like, it'll always be there. I mean, you just got to get yourself, and this is why I was so happy when Cormac had asked me to join this committee, because I feel like I couldn't save him, but at least now I'm out doing something and I can prevent another family to go through what we're still going through.
And it never, Cormac as well, and Emma, it never actually leaves you, does it really? Does it last forever? I know in different circumstances it has, and I can vouch for it, but it never leaves you for the rest of your life.
No, like, look, I presume, look, we're left with so many questions and pondered when someone, beautiful life is lost, you know. I've never felt what the two ladies beside me have, but I've went through mental health. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to stay at the room at night time and be pondering away, crying away to sleep, and think, you know, you can hear every creak in the house. You know, I know what it's like to have a drink and trying to end the pain inside you. You know, 6.5 years later, look at me. I'm doing a drive against suicide. You know, maybe it's time that young people actually stand up and take account for what's going on in this country. I don't think TDs and councillors, and I'm not going to badmouth them or anything.
No, I know what you mean.
I think they don't even know how to deal with it themselves. I think it's time to educate young people. You know, let's bring about your health in school, not just about mental health. Let's talk about cancer, let's talk about other diseases we have, better understanding and medication as well. We seem to hand out, you know, antidepressant tablets to young age as well, 10 and 11. I think we need to look at what way the counsellors are and everything like that. What standards are set aside? Have they been trained? Have they been trained with someone else in the room who's got more experience? Are they up to date and everything? There's a lot of issues. Mental health is just so big, we don't know where to start, but we're going to start somewhere, and we're starting with a drive, and that's the drive against suicide. And our logo is the dove, peace, hope and love, because everyone should be loved. Hope is hold on, pain ends. And, you know, we want to make people feel that they're not forgotten. You know, I don't like using the word suicide. I always like to use beautiful lives being lost, and that's the unfortunate thing about it. You know, and without the committee, in fairness, like we have Keith Maroney, Jason O'Grady, Jonah Lawler, Teresa, Emma and myself, we're young. The youngest is 21, the oldest is 30. You know, most organisations would have people who are 50 and everything like that. We're young people. Give us the opportunity to stand out. Let's make Limerick the capital of mental health. Let's make the difference. You know, I'd love if we got a mental health clinic in Limerick 24/7. You know, we have a psychiatric ward in Limerick. There's so many stories coming out about it.
Yes.
And look, I'm not going to go into detail tonight, because tonight is about us making a difference.
Yes.
It's not my event, it's not the committee's, it's everybody's event.
Emma, out of tonight, what message would you like to go to the powers that be, TDs, councillors, hospitals, the general public, families and friends? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, we have a crowd. There's so many people coming tonight that want to fight mental illness for the drive. The interest is unbelievable. Even some people that haven't been affected by mental illness, haven't been affected by suicide, they still want to come out and they want to help. They want to give their donations to help someone else. Because unfortunately, like when you go to a doctor, you have to go for counselling. Counselling is a good few bob. Unfortunately, some people can't afford that, so then people may be living in silence. We want to show people we can get out, we can talk about it. Some people might not want to talk about it because it's a very, very sore subject, but if we don't talk about it, how are people going to know about it? Especially the people that haven't been affected. They probably have no idea what it feels like to want to end your life, what it feels like in that last half an hour, that last hour. We just need to get this out. There's so many people willing to do it. I don't think we're going to stop here. We're going to keep on going. We're going to, like Cormac keeps on saying, we're going to fight mental illness. We have to.
Right, Emma, thanks. Final word, Teresa. What word would you like to send out there? Get people start talking to one another.
Just that they're not alone. You might feel that you're on your own. They just need to open up more and talk more. Yeah.
And Cormac, this is only the beginning. This is step one of please God, a very successful journey.
Behind closed doors, we're doing a 5 plan towards breaking mental health. This is one. The next one is to bring all the organisations together, sit down. Enough's enough, John. I'm not going to be listening to any radio stations saying another life has been lost in the bridges in Limerick City. Enough's enough. Families have felt the pain. I want to stand up and I want people to follow me. And I don't want people saying, well, Cormac Hayes did this. I want people to turn around and say, we did this. We changed it. Limerick City has had enough of young people gone middle age and even older people. Not just in the city, it's affected every village, town and city. There is no person that hasn't been at a person's funeral of suicide. You know, we seem to accept it. It's time to talk about mental health. It's time to change the attitude of the older generation, the middle generation and the younger generation. We have social network now where people are under so much pressure, even young people, young girls, young boys have to have the perfect body. You know, forget about that. You know, go and enjoy life. You only live once and enjoy every moment. But sometimes easier said than done. As I said, we can't see mental health from the outside. Only people can feel it from the inside. And in the future, when we sit down with the organisations, I'm hoping our councillors and TDs will come on board with us. I want to work with everyone, but don't turn around and say to me we can't do it. Turn around and say to me we can do this.
Cormac, thank you so much indeed. It was an honour to be here. I'm not going to say it's a pleasure. Well, it is, but it's an honour as well to be among great people like you. I wish you the very best of luck, Emma. A long journey. It's a hard one, I know. Gone through it, I understand. But the very best of luck. And I think you're among great friends, and Teresa yourself as well. I'll tell you something. It's very, very important that people start to talk to each other. I think that's the lesson that I get from everywhere across the country. Start talking to each other. Don't hide anything. The best of luck, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Now we're just continuing the major launch here of the suicide drive, or drive against suicide, here in Bill Chawkes in Adare in County Limerick. Now, a number of people who are prominent in the entire operation and backup, as it were, against these awful tragedies that are happening in our country. 471 people have lost their, as Cormac said, their beautiful lives in Ireland over the last year. Now, this is mounting and becoming a major problem for the country, so we just really have to get this exposure out there as to what people need to do of all ages. Now, I just want to go to our first guest this evening, and Kieran O'Brien of Pieta House. Kieran, it's great to see you with us.
Thank you very much.
Now, Kieran, just give us a little bit, a broad explanation of Pieta House, because they're synonymous with huge help.
Well, Pieta House was set up 10 years ago by Joan Freeman. The work of Pieta House is very specific. We're a suicide and self-harm crisis intervention centre. We work with people who have attempted suicide, ideation, and people are engaging in self-harm. Our service is totally free of charge. It's self-referral. You can pick up the phone and make an appointment yourself, or your family member or your loved one can make an appointment on your behalf. Mm-hmm. Our service is totally free of charge. The youngest, we see all age groups at Pieta House. The youngest has been 6 and the eldest been 80. So just on behalf of Pieta House, I just want to say a big thank you to Cormac and then the committee for Drive Against Suicide to allow us to be a part of this great awareness event. So we're very honoured to be a part of this event.
Great. And Kieran, it's great, and keep up the great work, and a very big congratulations and acknowledgement to the wonderful staff all over the country of Pieta House, because you deserve it with the support and the humanity I know that you give people. So please continue it.
Thank you very much.
Now, I want to go to a very important group as well in the midst of all of this tragedy, and that is the Limerick Suicide Watch. Marvellous men and women that devote their time, unpaid, voluntarily, morning, noon and night, on call to help people in distress. Now, can I just go to your very good self, your own name?
Anne Coughlin.
Now, Anne, how did you become involved in this great group?
Well, I noticed the amount of tragedy with suicide in the country and how it was affecting families. and it opened my eyes. So I decided then to get involved and try and help out. And we always say, if you can help to save one life, it's worth your time, you know.
Can I ask a personal question in this sense? What is it like, or does it feel like, when you are unable to save somebody, when you come across somebody that unfortunately has gone the full way in taking their lives?
It's tragic. There's an awful feeling of disappointment in you. We try and offer as best we can resources to people, advice to people, and even just to get people home of a night. That's what we try and accomplish when we're out on patrol, to prevent these tragedies happening.
Mike, it's great to have you with us here this evening again. And just like talking to your colleague here, it is a very difficult operation, and you really have to have huge commitment, don't you, to get involved in something like this?
Yes, commitment. You have to commit at least 3 nights in the month. You're talking about being out in all weathers and at all times of the night. It's a commitment that you personally give because of the hurt that you see in other people that have lost members of their families to suicide. At the end of the day, it's a very, very small commitment to make. To think that you're out there and you actually pull someone away from the edge of the river that has, within seconds, will be in the river and lost. And to think that you actually managed to pull them away, that's reward enough for being out there.
Well, I think it's very important that we acknowledge the great work that all of you are doing and salute you, because like you're on patrol day and night and you're watching for people in helping them make that awful or preventing them, I should say, from making a dreadful, dreadful error, which it is to take one's life.
It is. It just happens that these people just feel that that's all they've left.
Yes.
What we try to do is show to them that no, there is another way. Get them away. Once we can get them away with our friends in Pieta House, we direct them in that direction, and we show them that yes, even though they thought it was the finality, there is still that little glimpse of hope. And once we can get them away and the professionals in Pieta House take over, there is a chance that you've saved that life.
I just want to go back to, I'm not being sexist here now in any way, but women, and we've heard this from Cormac, and 2 lovely girls here that have gone through hell on earth after people that they loved, dear ones that took their lives. But isn't it a problem with men? Unlike women, we're unable to discuss our thoughts, our emotions, and that is a problem that we should be learning from women.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, it's good to talk, and we do find a lot of men out in the river who have lost hope and possibly may not have discussed any of their problems or situations with anyone before they meet us. So, yes, women, I think, do tend to talk that little bit more, and it's something we should try and live by.
Thank you indeed for that. Now I'm going to your very good self in your own name.
Ger Meehan.
Jared Meehan. Jared,
Yeah.
it's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's a very important evening.
Thank you.
Jared, now you're involved in this like the rest of these great men and women.
Yes.
Actually, how many of the volunteers are involved in the suicide watch?
We have at the moment, about 40 plus, and increasing at the moment. We still have a number of people that we even got on board yesterday and the day before we were out. We had a place out in LIT, and we were in the art college yesterday, and we got a number of people interested and want to volunteer with us as well. So that's brilliant.
That is fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Plus is absolutely
Yeah.
Now, made up of men and women.
Made up of
Yeah,
men
that's
and women,
fantastic.
yes.
Now, is there inductions, or there training, counselling for great people like yourselves that have to, unfortunately, meet a lot of problems?
Of course, there's first criteria is that you have to be over 25 to come on board with us, and then we have an assist training course, which is a very in-depth training for 2 days, which brings a lot out and brings the truth out in a lot of people, and honesty, that brings it out. We also do a first aid course, and we do the defib course, and we also do a throw bag training course that we throw in case somebody goes into the water, that we will put in the throw bag to them to try and take them back out of the water. Yes, there is, and it's ongoing. And counselling then is that if we do come across a serious intervention, between ourselves, we'll talk between ourselves first of all, and then what happens then is even afterwards we might go for a cup of tea, go back to the base, we'll sit down, we'll talk it over again with that person that had the intervention, and we're getting professional counsellors on board with us, have volunteered their time as well, and those people, if they feel they need to go to them, they will go to them, and we'll also meet the following day even with that person to see are they okay.
And we have to pay tribute, of course, as well to the other people involved, like in Garda Síochána, the sea rescue people on air, on sea, and all the other volunteers as well, or people that actually come out and try and help as best they can, you know.
Of course, because we have the taxi drivers are very good to us, because they'll actually stop up and say, we've come across a person down by the side of the river, they look a bit sad, can you go down to them, we'll do that. The guards are very helpful and very understanding now that they come and they'll just stand back and let us get on with the job. And of course, search and rescue are brilliant as well.
They are, aren't they?
Absolutely. And the fire and rescue as well. They're all brilliant, and we work as a team.
Yes, yeah, very good.
Which is brilliant.
I want to talk to Tom Neville. Tom, you might just come over here to us a little bit. Yep, no, that's fine. Yep. Thanks. Tom, now I know that your father, Dan Neville, in all his political career, has been paramount in highlighting mental awareness, the treatment of people, the services provided as well. You, in many ways, are now, as a new TD for West Limerick, you are taking up that portfolio, as it were, and looking at the whole area of mental illness. Where do you see it going from here? Because these people now, we have hundreds, not a dozen, but hundreds of people that are taking their lives every year. It's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I've noticed since, I mean, look, I said to the electorate, that was one of the big things I stood on, was that I'd try and continue on the work that Dan has done. Obviously, Dan would have way more knowledge in the area. I'm still on a learning curve, and I'm aware of that. That's the first thing I'll say, and learning every day. The few things I've noticed is that we do talk about it a lot more than what they used to talk about. Even up to 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I've seen a lot of TDs, nearly all TDs, stand up in the Dáil and talk about it. There was a time when no one would stand up and talk about it, and it was just kept swept under the carpet and swept under the carpet. That's the first thing. The second big thing that, for me, from a campaigning point of view, I think, is to try and really break down the doors of stigma. I still think stigma is a huge bearing in relation to this, and I say that with the utmost of sensitivity, because we always have to be careful about how we choose our words, about who may be watching this and the vulnerable position that they may be in, but that to seek someone out, talk to somebody. Yourmentalhealth.ie is a website that's available already, and I'll repeat it again, yourmentalhealth.ie. It's quite good. It's an umbrella type website that will send you to all the different services, be it local or national, or just be able to point you in the right direction. I sit on the joint cross-party group on mental health with actually Senator Joan Freeman is a member of that group as well.
Yes.
So we may have different political backgrounds. There's a member from each political party on that group. It's an apolitical group that come together and try and put and formulate the direction of where we want to see it go over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months to 2 years.
Yes.
And keep continuing progress. There is not enough money being spent in it. We want to see more money being spent in it. It is being increased, but you also want to put a strategy in with that as well to make sure it's done properly.
Yes.
And we are coming from a very low base, be it politically and culturally, in relation to this.
But you are right, though, because there is, I've listened to interviews with different people, and there is that type of, we'll say, a block or a stigma where it says, well, I'm afraid to say to somebody that I'm very down and very depressed, or I'm not feeling the way and I want to commit self-harm. There is that thing there. We need to open up more, don't we?
Yeah, and look, that's a culture thing as well. I mean, that's my problem. It's everyone else's problem or issue. It's all our challenge in trying to break that. We are starting to do that. If you looked at this 10 years ago, when Dan started out 25 years ago, it was just not mentioned. It wasn't spoken about. Yeah. We have come on, but it's continuing to do that. Now, there has been research that's done in stigma, and it still is quite prevalent out there. It is.
Yes.
You know, and there's no point in saying it's not, but it is actually working on breaking that down. The likes of these groups here, the people here tonight, the likes of Cormac there organising this tonight, giving it the air that it needs, letting it breathe, and let people come in and speak about it openly and freely. Particularly, you know, I have to be mindful of the fact that the people like the Suicide Patrol are actually at the front end face of it, and also the people who are bereaved as well, that are strong to be able to come out here and discuss it and talk about it. And that helps. That will help break down the stigma side of it. But I do always, you know, state my comments with the utmost sensitivity to people that will be watching this, and just to state to them that, as was mentioned earlier on, do talk, do mention it. You know, there is services out there. Yourmentalhealth.ie is a great website. Contact phone numbers, umbrella organisations, and it goes by region as well.
It's great actually that as a politician in our Dáil that you're here this evening showing support, and I'm sure everyone here says thank you for doing that, and keep up the great work as well, please.
It's not about me. This is about the people that have organised this, and it's I happen to be from here, and it happens to be an issue that I'm working on, but this is all about the people here that are working where they're working.
All right. Good man, and thank you indeed. Now we just have a few words. We're just going to round up here. You are?
Mike.
Right, Mike, how are you? How soon did you get, or how, when did you become involved in this great group?
Well, I've been doing the Suicide Watch for 4 years now. It's been a while.
That's a long time.
It's a while, but it's something I probably would miss if I wasn't doing it. I keep saying to people, I mean, I've got a lot more out of it than I put into it because of the friendships we have made. We're like an extended family now. Our group is so close, you know.
Yes.
We know probably know more about each other than our own families know about. So, and that's how it's so relaxed. That's how we're just camaraderie. We're very, very comfortable with each other. That makes it more comfortable than for us to go out and speak with people we're meeting as well.
That's fantastic. And you are?
Hello, my name is Joan Ford.
Hello, Joan. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Joan, it's great to see a fantastic mix of ladies and gentlemen.
It's very true.
The suicide wall.
Yeah.
Show us how serious you're taking it.
That's true. There's all ages, all backgrounds, everything. I started at the same time as Mike. We were involved about 3, going on 4 years, and I've been through a lot together, and it's great. We all have each other's backs. We all support each other, and there's a great camaraderie and friendship between the whole group, and we're all there to help each other.
I could imagine that the counselling involved for yourself is very important, because what you are doing is very sensitive, very tragic.
Absolutely, yes. We do have counselling support when we need it on call, and also then every few weeks that we can have a group meeting and to discuss what we've been through or everything like that with counsellors as well. So it's very helpful.
Well, thank you so much indeed to all of you, and the very, very best of luck to your marvellous people. And we just want to, publicise this launch and the great work that all of you are doing. And I think the most important message that I get, and please God, everyone will get out there, is talk to each other. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. If you have a neighbour, a friend, a family member, but please, yes, there is somebody there to listen. But I think, again, we have to say a big thank you to An Garda Síochána, the sea rescue, the air rescue, that the marvellous work that they do, the ambulance services, the suicide watch people, politicians, young politicians, new generation of Tom Neville, Pieta House, all important. And we just wish the very best of luck to Cormac Hayes and all of the group that are going to spearhead this drive against suicide. Yeah. Thank you. Gurda Mila Mahagat.